So guys, the deputy chief whip has come out to confirm that Akpabio, Natasha, both of them are going to appear before a committee of the Senate to testify before them. So the question remains, do you think Natasha is going to get justice? You know, this is one of the reasons why she headed to the United Nations, because she believes that in Nigeria she's not going to get justice, whether it's from the courts or from the Senate. You know, she believes that the system has been compromised, so getting justice will be very difficult, and that's why she headed to the United Nations. So as it appears now, the Senate has decided that the both of them are going to be testifying before a committee of the Senate. So it's like Akpabio is going to testify before his own people. Do you think Natasha stands the chance to get justice? Anyway, guys, I'm going to allow you to take a look at how the deputy chief whip, you know, explained what is going to happen. Just take a look for yourself.
As we talk about what's going on in our country, Senator Onyekachi Nwebonyi is a senator representing Ebonyi North Senatorial District and is also the Senate Deputy Chief Whip. Senator, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you, my dear brother, for having me.
I'm sure there's a lot of business for you coming into Lagos, because I know that we always speak to you from Abuja. But let's begin with some of the things that are just playing out from the chambers, for instance, without going to some of the things I'm sure that the Senate has made some decisions over. And yesterday I was having a conversation with my guest, and one of the things he raised is to the effect that I don't know, maybe give us the exact record. How many times vote of confidence has been passed on Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President? He said if there's too consistency in the passing of vote of confidence, there's trouble. How would you assess that assertion?
Well, in the parliament, it's our tradition and custom to pass vote of confidence to leaders when members of parliament feel that the leader is doing well. And in the case of the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, everybody knows that the 10th Senate, like he said at the beginning, is a corrective Senate. We are there to serve Nigerians. We are there to make policies and laws that will actually give Nigerians nothing but good governance. And for some time now, the 10th Senate has been doing that undistracted. And that is why from time to time, we pass that vote of confidence to him. Because if you watch what happened in yesterday's plenary, there was no dissenting voice. All the 109 senators said that, Mr. President, you are doing well.
It can't be 109, 108 actually.
Of course, because he was not there. Yeah. And if you watch, he was not even the one presiding during that vote of confidence. So that goes to show that he's at home with us, and we're also at home with him.
This vote of confidence is necessitated by the allegations of Senator Natasha Akpabio, isn't it?
No, far from that. The allegation of Senator Natasha is a complete falsehood, which we've put behind us.
You're already passing judgment on a case that is still subject of investigation. Even
well,
within the...
I'm entitled to my opinion.
Okay, your opinion.
Yes, and moreover, I'm also a star witness in that case. And I can tell you, but I don't want to delve into that, because as part of our resolution yesterday is to put that behind us so that we can actually serve Nigerians in line with our mandate, because our mandate is to make laws and guide the executive, all geared towards giving Nigerians the best, not to discuss issues we know that is a complete falsehood and goes to no issue.
I'll leave it to your opinion, but I'll also be cautious to the effect that it's still under investigation by the same Senate, because I know she resubmitted that particular petition, yes, and it was accepted and forwarded to the committee that is in charge of ethics and all of that. So help me help Nigerians understand how it will work. She's been suspended for 6 months.
Yes.
And then the committee is supposed to report back in 4 weeks. Is she not supposed to, and she's not supposed to appear at the premises of the National Assembly. So are you going to effect that? How does it work?
If she's invited by the committee, she has a right to appear. She's suspended from the ordinary businesses of the parliament. But if she's invited to come and give her own side of the story, or to come and prove her case in line with her petition, she has a right to appear, before the committee. So she's not been stopped from appearing before the committee.
So when principal officers like you will use assertions like it is falsehood, it is this, don't you think it is going to influence, it's already fait accompli, whatever the investigation is going to be at the end of the day? Why are you taking a side already in a situation that is still under investigation by the Senate?
Well, I'm entitled to my opinion. And without delving into the merit of the case, that is for a committee to do. But I can tell you authoritatively that in criminal prosecution, that's what we call prima facie evidence. If there is no prima facie evidence, that is evidence on the surface, then there is no case. Because I must tell you, she knows quite all right that what she's saying is to divert attention. But we're not disturbed. We're not disturbed because we know the truth.
So 2 more questions on this issue. First, is Senator Akpabio going to be investigated by the Ethics Committee? Is he going to testify, just like she will be invited to testify?
All the parties involved will appear before the committee, including the Senate President. He will come and testify, and his testimony will be recorded. Likewise, other senators, because on the alleged date of the incident, so many senators were there. So, for example, I'm one of the star witnesses. I will come and tell the world, which I have been telling the world, what I saw. But we have put that.
Akpabio?
Of course. I even drove in the same car.
Were you there for every step of the way? Both
from beginning to the end, and we went back in the same vehicle. I was the closest person to her that day.
Okay. So, away from that in a moment, what do you think the perception of Nigerians is to how the Senate or the National Assembly responds to concerns about women? Because there's a perception out there, whether that perception is true or false. Do you understand what the perception is? And how is the Senate handling it?
Our view towards women is to accommodate them more in politics. And just a few days back, we had a gender equality bill that was introduced by the Senate Committee Chairman on Women Affairs. And we have also interacted with other parliaments across the world. And we are going to take that step to make sure that women are given more seats in the parliament. For example, in a place like Morocco, there are some reserved seats for women because in most cases, women find it difficult to win an election. So in such cases, there are some positions, seats allotted to them in the parliament through appointive processes, whereby the executive fiat will appoint females, senators or House of Rep members to come to the parliament, not necessarily going through election. So these are the things we have in stock for Nigerian women. And I must tell you, the 10th Senate is working towards that. And at the end of the day, you'll see the difference. So
exactly what do you mean by bringing more women? As we speak now, let's begin with the chambers, the red chambers. You have only 4 women.
Yes.
An abysmal number, worse than the previous 9 Senate, for instance. And now 1 is even suspended. So there are just 3 of them there in the Senate.
Yes.
So when you say you're giving women more seats, what exactly do you mean? Are you saying each state has 3 senatorial districts? Yes. Are you going to give 1 to a woman mandatorily, whether it's tokenism or not? What exactly is the structure or the proposition in that bill? Well,
if you listen to what I said earlier, I said in some areas it is difficult for women to win election into political positions, maybe based on religion or tradition. For example, in northern part of the country, some people see it as abnormally for a woman to rule over a man.
But that's changing. The deputy governor of Kaduna.
Exactly. But I'm just telling you. So, and I said that in some countries, they have some executive fiat processes of bringing women more into politics. For example, Morocco and Tanzania, they used to appoint some women into the parliament. So, and we are thinking towards that. Do you understand? But unfortunately, the attitude of some women, which is some of the matters at hand, is very, very discouraging.
To talk about what
situation where a woman, because of one reason or the other, will accuse a prominent leader of sexual harassment is a minus. Because we expect Nigerian women to rise up against this, especially when somebody has formed a habit. Let me come.
No, you can't discountenance her reality, Senator. Whether that reality of hers is true or false, you can't discountenance it and then use that as a premise for generalization.
I didn't generalize, but I said it is discouraging. It is discouraging.
Are you saying that men, okay, let's leave the sexual allegation. Men have also stood up to the Senate president or the leadership of the Senate. They've even been suspended. Have we ever said that the attitude of this man is discouraging men from coming into the Senate.
No,
That is the way women see when men make these arguments. I hope you understand, sir.
You can see that the ground for the suspensions are different.
We understand that perfectly.
So get that very well, because the fact of the issue determines the reaction. So these are two different circumstances. But what I'm saying is that the attitude of some women may discourage men from giving them such opportunity. So it is therefore very important that any woman that finds herself in political corridor should live above board so as to encourage men to give them more support. That is just the impression I'm trying to make. Not that we are going to generalize because one woman is accusing men of sexual harassment, that all other women are going to toe the same line. No, but I said it is quite unfortunate and discouraging. Ignorance of the fact that the accusation is a complete falsehood, and this is a person that is known for doing this as a business, a serial blackmailer, and the records are there. So I expect Nigerian women, yes.
You're making a strong allegation.
Very, very strong. This is not the first time. This is not the first time.
Allegations you can't substantiate.
No, I can't. I can tell you.
So what is the allegation?
One of your colleagues, Serena Omokri, was accused by the same woman, but as God will have it...
I haven't worked with Omokri, by the way.
Yes, as God will have it, this woman was in the U.S. And when she discovered that the man had evidence to rebut her claim, she quickly pulled down her claim and later paid compensation to the young man. That is number one. I can name them. There's so many.
So your premise of passing your verdict on Senator Natasha Akpabio is the fact that she failed in proving the case of Reno Omokri, so she has already failed in Senator Akpabio's
because it never happened.
Well, anyway, you were not there where everything...
But we know how that one ended, and I can name more.
You know why I'm pushing on this conversation?
Yes.
Because when we listen to plenary and hear the way some of the men speak and some of the things that are being done,
yes,
we know the suspension was based on, quote-unquote, parliamentary behavior.
Simple.
Yes, that was where the suspension happened. Yes. But this is a different kettle of fish, which is still a subject of investigation that may become a subject of adjudication at the end of the day. So passing judgment and the attitude towards it and calling her a serial liar and all of this is almost fit accomplished to the community.
I want to ask you a question.
No, I'm the one asking questions.
But I can ask you, has she reported that matter to any law enforcement agent in Nigeria?
But she has reported it to the Senate.
She has reported it to the Senate. She's just doing media trial to cause damage.
No, facts on ground. Yes. Has she reported it to the Senate or not?
She has.
So why don't you wait for that investigation to complete?
Until then.
Okay. Let's move on now to other issues.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the issue of a legislature and executive relationship.
Yes.
I know that senators have been bashed most of the time as to being rubber stamp. All kinds of names have been called. And, of course, there's also that pushback from senators. If you are assessing this 10th Assembly, because we're going to midterm already, by May, June, yours will be June, yes, the president's will be May, would you say this Senate, as is constituted and led by Senator Godswill Akpabio, has been able to defend Nigerians the way they should defend Nigerians? And tell us how.
I must tell you, the 10th Senate, under the leadership of Senator Godswill Akpabio, have been able to do that perfectly well. Of course, you understand that our roles can be categorized into three: to oversight the executive, to make laws, and to represent our individual constituencies. In terms of making laws, you agree with me that within the period under review, we passed so many laws. Let's start with the 2025 appropriation bill. We had to scrutinize that presentation to make sure that it meets the demands of Nigerians. And if you look at it, the provision made for infrastructure development is more than what we have been saying before, because this is what we need at a time as a nation. And I must give it to the president. Some call us rubber stamp Senate. It is not so. If the executive is doing what we feel is good for the people, we are duty bound to support them and back them through the proper lawmaking process. And the president will have, as of today, I'm not saying this because I'm an APC senator, but when something is good, please appreciate it. We now have a president in the person of Bola Ahmed Tinubu who is taken outside the box, not somebody who is just sitting there as a president and everything goes. If you look at his economic policies and programs, you see somebody that wants us to shift from where we are to the next level, because we inherited a very bad economy.
From the APC?
Oh, I don't want to go to that.
No. Let's put the facts straight. From the APC?
Not the APC, of course. PDP has been in power for 16 years.
APC was in power for how many
Just for 8
years?
years. Just for 8
so
years.
Muhammadu Buhari, well, I mean, how much correction did he do to the PDP destruction?
Let me come. Let me lay the background.
Okay.
Let me lay the background. If you look at the economic policies of President Tinubu, he started by removing fuel subsidy. And you agree with me that this has been an economic virus that is hampering our development as a nation. But he courageously removed that fuel subsidy. Yes, the price of fuel went very high, over 1,000 naira. But today, the price of fuel is going towards 800 to 700 naira. And we believe that they continue to go down. And this has given an opportunity for private refineries to come up, thereby introducing competition within fuel subsidy. Yes, the price of fuel went very high, over 1,000 naira. So that has introduced competition in the industry. And that is what we want. Outside that, you can see what is coming up now with the tax bill reform, law. This tax reform bill will be a game changer because it will do two things significantly. One is going to shift the tax burden from the poor and place it on the bourgeoisie. Two, it is going to encourage competition, healthy competition within the federated states of the federation. Do you understand? So, meaning that companies that earn less than 50 million annually will be exempted from paying tax. Our mothers that sell vegetable in the market will be exempted from paying tax. You as a civil servant that earns less than a million naira, whatever, annually, will be exempted from paying tax. You see, it's going to create a more enabling environment for business to thrive. This is what we want. And that is why, as a parliament, having seen that the policies and programs of the executive is for the people, we must support them.
One of the promises the president made is that he has consistently maintained that, look, it's going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. He's confessed.
Good, at the beginning.
But the cushioning effect has not been sufficient enough. And it made it look, or from people who even dare to allude to the fact that it wasn't well thought through.
Situation where a woman, because...
Which is why we're where we are. Because this is like, we're not back to somewhere we dug deep and we're trying to come out of the hole.
Very good.
Does the National Assembly see that to check the leadership of our country to say, these interventions that you put in place to help one way or the other,
yes,
to help support the vulnerable, how effective is it in your view?
Well, it's very, very effective. You can see that the price of goods are automatically coming down, starting with food. Before now, prices, for example, 50 kg of rice was going for 95,000 naira. But today it's 72,000 naira.
And that's coming down?
It's coming down significantly.
From where did it go?
From 95,000 to 75,000.
From where did it go to 95?
I wouldn't know, but at least...
No, you should know.
We have to start somewhere. When he came into power, and to where we are today. So you can see a significant shift towards things getting better. So his policies and programs are actually working. And if you are honest to yourself, if you are not partisan, you will give it to President Tinubu.
It's interesting how better is now defined as something that was 25,000, for instance, went to 90, 120,000, and in your books came to 75 is better. Help us explain what's your definition of better.
Based on where you started.
Okay.
Based on where you started. When President Tinubu came to power, we'll buy rice at 95,000 naira per bag. But today, it's going for 72,000 to 75,000.
100,000.
Yes. It's coming down. And it will continue to come down. And moreover, let me remind you, like I've always said, there are some rules we expect government to play, and there are ones the citizens should play. Do you know why the price of goods were skyrocketing? Because our morale towards agriculture is less than 10%.
Are you aware that because of these policies as well, a lot of businesses have closed down, they've gone out of business. It's difficult for some to even maintain. And some are being forced to diversify. Some are trying to just look for a level of buffer to support their businesses just to thrive. People are now rescaling. It's quite challenging. Electricity bill is very high. I'm sure you use Ban A because you're a big man, so I expect you to use Ban A. If you don't use Ban A, that should be an aberration. It's expensive.
Yes.
Now, there are neighborhoods where you have a combination of big men and not too rich people, and they are paying Ban A. Things are actually really difficult. And sometimes when we speak to people in government, people in authority, and you continue to say things are getting better, it's almost infuriating to Nigerians. Don't you think so?
Well, one thing you should not rule out is that Inflation is part of economic indices that is not created or caused by government. There are some internal factors that bring about inflation. But it's the duty of government, to work around all these indices and make life better, for citizens. Now, if you come to power supply, you agree with me that we have made a very significant improvement in terms of power supply. You agree with me? I may not have the data here, but that is the truth. So, government having done that, we believe that over time, all those things will take care of itself. But as to whether things are difficult, I agree with you. Things are difficult. But those difficulties were not created by the present government. It is something that came up over time. But with the policies and programs of President Tinubu, I must tell you, Nigeria is on the rise.
There are a couple of other questions. I'm literally almost out of time, but I must ask you a few of them, and that has to do with electoral reforms.
Yes.
We've seen that a bill, I think it was yesterday, that was sponsored by a senator from Katsina,
yes,
who talked about early voting.
Exactly, for special people on special assignment.
People on special assignment. Now,
yes,
I want to know how politicians are viewing this, because we've made some improvements in our electoral system, but we have a lot of challenges within our electoral system that can be improved upon. And one of the things we're looking out for is the reform that this government is bringing into place to efficiently make sure that the process is transparent. It's great to have early voting. Why isn't the National Assembly pushing for a legislation to ensure that IREV has the same power and authority in terms of evidence of where we can get results from EC8A? Because according to the Supreme Court, IREV is just a viewing portal. And if there was any innovation by INEC, it was the IREV to bring transparency and credibility.
Of course.
But INEC blew it in the last presidential election and has dampened confidence of the people. Why isn't the National Assembly pushing to insist that IREV is not going to be just a viewing portal, but part of the collating system, so that we can have transparency?
Of course, IREF is one of the collecting points of result. In fact, it is most reliable result.
It's not tenable in court, by the way.
Well, I'm not a judge, but the essence of bringing that electronic form of result transmission is to ensure transparency in our electoral process. And it's part of the areas we are going to review. And outside that, we're also going to make election less expensive. You agree with me that we used to have an election on two occasions. That is the presidential and national assembly, then the governorship and the state assembly election on 2 different days. We are looking towards consolidating these 5 elections in 1 day. This will save costs. This will save time. This will, encourage people to participate more in politics. So, and this is very, very significant. And as I'm talking to you, it's one of the areas we are going to look at, including that IRF you mentioned, because it's very key. And with the consultations we've made, because as Parliament, we also make consultations with the public through the process of public hearing. When that comes, we are going to get more inputs, from the public, particularly the experts, on how best we can give Nigerians, in a well-reformed electoral act that can stand the test of time.
Let me add another assignment to it, which Nigerians are interested in. I think Nigerians are more interested in transparency and how electoral officers or commissioners are appointed, including the INEC chairman. His tenure ends, I think, in December or so. That's Professor Mahmood. Is the Parliament also thinking of a way of implementing that Justice Uwe's report, where it's going to pass through the agency and not the direct appointment of the president?
We are thinking towards that, because it's a well-known fact that if you want INEC to be independent, the process of appointing the INEC chairman must, be different from what we have today. And it's one of the areas we're going to incorporate in the reform of the Electoral Act.
We'll hold you to that. But in winding down, let's go back to the Senate and some of the things that have arisen from this Senator Natasha, Senator Akpabio saga is the rules of the Senate. Let's talk about suspension. Is it fair that the quote-unquote attitude, behavior of a legislator will cost constituents 6 months of voicelessness in the Parliament? Remove Senator Natasha's case. Everybody that has been suspended one way or the other, of course, most of them have challenged it in court, and court has said 14 days and all of that. But you have always argued that you are giving the latitude to extend it the way you want. Is it fair to suspend a legislator for 6 months?
Well, The suspension of a legislator is a punishment meted on such a legislator as a person.
Affecting the constituents.
It's not affecting the constituent, because what's supposed to go to the constituent will definitely go to them. For example, the zone intervention program,
which is why we're where we are, because this is like
the senator is under suspension or not, it must go to that zone. And the essence of us suspending our colleagues is to ensure orderliness and decorum. Just like in NUJ where you belong, you have your rules and regulations. If you go foul of any of your rules, there are punishments.
No, it's not the same scenario.
No, I'm coming.
People elected.
I'm just giving you an
just hold on.
Yes.
The point is, you have a tripartite role:
yes.
representation,
yes.
legislation, and oversight.
Yes.
So maybe others can go on, but representation.
It will guide the people in electing such person next time. Because if somebody elected to represent you is putting you to shame, you have to review the nomination during the next election. And that is why we have a recall process. If somebody is suspended, it means that they're not doing well. And the constituents have the right to recall you and put another person that will not be suspended.
All right, Senator.
I expect you to go to the merit of our rules, because you journalists, you don't look at those rules. For example, Order 6, Order 6 Rule 1, yes. Order 6 Rule 2. We expect you to juxtapose the provisions of these rules with what happened in the parliament. But unfortunately, we don't see you going towards that direction.
There's no debate as to the issue of
violation of the rules.
Conduct.
Good.
What the people are interested in is sexual harassment.
No, you should. That is not the issue. No. That one is to divert attention.
No.
And they are falling into it.
They are all issues.
No, we expect the press to blow the other one up.
It is you that will blow your case. You are the one that will blow your case.
Why are you blowing her case in this case?
No, because I have told you that on the parliamentary conduct, yes. It was very clear. We watched the plenary where
very good.
Senators,
she violated the rules.
Senators on all sides seem to have agreed, and some were appealing that it should be reduced.
Good.
So there was no debate as to that effect. The one that is of interest to people because of the perception of the National Assembly about women is the sexual harassment.
It's complete falsehood, and we are putting behind us. We don't want to go into that. We are there to serve Nigerians, not to discuss triviality.
Women are very important in the politics.
Yeah, of course. She's not the only person there.
We're going to come back and talk about.
So, guys, you have seen it for yourself. These are, some of the challenges I feel Natasha is, like facing, because she believes that almost the entire Senate is against her. The entire members, they are all against her. It was just a few persons, that spoke in her favor during all this saga that played out, on the Senate floor. So now she's going to be testifying before the Senate. Is she going to get, she going to have or get fair hearing? And is it going to really be something that will be very credible? Considering the kind of people we have in politics today, these are people who are just there for their own personal interest. Nobody will want to wield the stick against Senator Akpabio. I mean, none of them will boldly want to tell Senator Akpabio his sin to his face. So I believe that Natasha, they just want to, for me to disgrace this lady, because you cannot appear before your enemies and you think you are going to get justice. From the way they bashed out, at her, when all these things started, that Natasha has just a few friends, if at all she has any now, because we even saw the women senators all equally went against her. So you just keep asking who is going to be there to defend Natasha's interests. It's going to be Akpabio that is going to be defended, because these are the people that Akpabio is their head. So how do you expect them to go against the head, against their Senate leader? It's going to be impossible. So if they are coming out to say that Natasha, Akpabio are going to be appearing before the Senate floor, for me, it's as if they are joking, because whatever they are going to say there is what they must have concluded on before, is what they must have discussed. Possibly Akpabio is going to know how the proceeding, everything is going to happen. So Natasha, that is not even in the house, she's in her house, she will just come from nowhere, and then they will start bashing out questions at her. So I'm not really thinking this is going to be a very good platform for Natasha to get justice. Anyway, it is their decision. Nigerians, let's just keep watching, because Nigerians have lost faith in these politicians. We've lost faith in the judiciary. We've lost faith in the security agents. Look at the police, see how they are, maltreating Nigerians, people they are supposed to be protecting. We have lost faith in the military. Seeing how the Fulanis are going all over the places, buying people. The CDS cannot talk, and the rest of them. The NSA is not talking. But if the Southeastern has come out now, they say they are agitating for Biafra, guess what? They will term them terrorists and gather them to unknown. Let me not even say, because I don't know the way they look at the Southeasterners. Anyway, that's not the topic. But the question remains, is Natasha going to get fair hearing if she appears before the Senate committee? Let me know your thoughts on all this. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. Please give this video a like so that YouTube can recommend it to others, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you.